had never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
I get tingles on my arms every time I hear Ronald Reagan, former president of the US of A, say those words, especially the last line. Just always puts the hair on my back of my neck up, and I don't have terribly hairy arms, but for what it is, I feel it. How you going, folks? Been a good day. Well, it's been a day, all right? And I've got a smile on my face, maybe because it's Friday, and for the first time in, I must say, it would have to be 20 years, I found myself requiring a beer at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And I duly thought, why deprive myself? I had a singular beer at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Now, that's not necessarily a trumpet moment for anybody in particular, much less me. But in my case, the last time I probably had a beer full stop was months ago. The last time I had a beer during the day would be 25 years ago or more. So I had the beer for two reasons. The first being I was thirsty. And the second reason, I had cause to have a little wry smile and a small celebration. So one beer it was. And you know what it's done for me? It's given me a headache. Just how it works, eh? All right. Maybe I'll go out and have another beer after we do this. I think I explained in a show recently that there's a lot going on here at the moment. And my days at the moment have been spent in a variety of different tasks, not a lot of which have to do with sitting here and doing much research. So there are a number of you who have reached out, particularly with the JFK files, to help me with that. I can't thank you enough. Tom, yours, I think, was the first offer to come through. I have not stopped today yet to read your reply, but I will catch up with you over the weekend at some stage, and hopefully catch up with a bit of this myself, and be able to enlighten you guys if you haven't welded your way through what started out at, I think, 31,500 pages that I'd seen, and now apparently there's 80,000. What the hell are they trying to hide? I ask. What the hell? Well, it is a Friday night. It is a Friday night free for all. So on a Friday night free for all, we generally let you guys ask whatever the hell you'd like to ask. And if you are a trusted person, might be able to sort you out with a link to come and join us if you want to come and pop on. Vince might know somebody who he trusts, and I trust Vince. He is the boss after all. I say good morning to the waving wonder. How are you, brother?
Good afternoon, Carl, or evening, whichever one you want to prefer. For me, it's
probably I'm just not sure which time of the day you woke up today, so I started out with the morning for you.
Yeah. Well, we're still in morning for another 5 hours.
Doing all right. So how's your week been, mate?
Interesting. Lots of little things happening here. The council election that I was in has been called and done, and congratulations to Georgia Warhurst for winning that. So I hope she does well by the people. So
congratulations to you, though, because you come second.
I did. Well, there's only three. I mean, middle of the pack. So, but it was interesting. The numbers showed that there's quite a few people who obviously think that more needs to be done. And like 1/4 of the vote was for somebody who's prepared to speak for the people. So that's a nice change.
Yeah, it is actually. Do you think that sort of number might be reflected in state and federal figures?
I think it's getting that way, yeah. And to go with that, right, I was just looking through a bit of news items, and I saw one today relative to 9 News putting up about the fact that the big shopping centres and price gouging and ACCC's done a thing into it. So very
Oh,
interesting.
the ACCC.
Yeah.
One of the biggest toothless tigers I think we have. Oh, we're going
True.
to fine you a lot of money. Do you put that money back in the pockets of the people you ripped off? No. Where does the money that the ACCC gets in its fines go?
Well, it's not so much fines. It was recommendations that they've got 20 recommendations that they're suggesting. So
I recommend they get fined. Was one of those the recommendations?
I don't know. I didn't see the 20. I only saw 2 or 3 that they actually put up.
Was any of them we recommend you give back the people the money you stole from them? Was there any recommendation like that?
No. I mean, when you have to go out, remember when you could go and buy a 500 grand tin of Nescafe for about 18 to 20 bucks?
Yeah.
Right now in my town, they're worth 30 for a 500 grand tin. Not $30. And
no, they're not worth 30. That's just the price they've got on them.
Yeah. Well, that's true. I'm just trying to figure out if I can share the right screen here. I just got a little bit of.
Judith.
All right, so I've got a bit here. Hopefully the sound will come through, but if you want to put that up, Carl, we can play what the news said and do a little bit of a critique on it.
Good to have your company across Australia, leading our news at 7 a.m. Too much power. That's what an inquiry into Coles and Woolworths market share has found.
The ACCC blasting the lack of competition in the supermarket sector, leading to high prices for frustrated customers fed up by cost of living pressures.
There's no competition, like you say. You know, it's usually the big 3, Woolies, Coles and Aldi around my area.
Do you think you're getting a fair go at the checkout?
No, it's so expensive.
We go support the local all the time, so they can do what they can do, but if you don't, it's up to us to make the choice.
Everyone's feeling it right. Let's go live now to Today Federal Politics reporter Liz Daniels in Canberra. Liz, good morning to you. So sweeping recommendations from the ACCC.
Yeah, good morning, Carl and Sarah. An alarming concession really there from the consumer watchdog. Coles and Woolies have so much power. They have limited incentive to compete on prices, and that is disappointing news for customers. To give you an idea of the market dominance, Woolworths has a 38% market share. Coles has 29% of the market. Aldi and IGA are in the single digits. Now, as part of this damning report, those recommendations, the ACCC wants 20 things to change to make things fairer. Among them, just to pick out a couple, a grocery price comparison site to be set up for customers. That's the recommendation. And that supermarkets should be forced to tell customers when a packet size changes but a price has stayed the same. They call it shrinkflation. Now, this morning, Coles has responded cautioning against any more red tape that it says could push up prices. But with the cost of living crisis to dominate this upcoming election campaign, voters will be looking to our politicians to see who has the best ideas to crack down on grocery giants and whether they agree to these recommendations. The coalition's threatened to break up the big supermarkets in order to increase competition, something that is not being recommended by the ACCC this morning. Now, we will hear from the Treasurer on the show in the next few minutes on the government's plans.
Well,
Good to have your company across Australia, leading our news.
Sorry, guys. Shut that off.
I have 2 things to say about that. The first of that is we've got to get that computer on this sound card.
Oh, that didn't come through?
Oh, it did, but only through your microphone. So
Yeah, I figured that might be the case. So
the other thing is these recommendations are all a bit administrative, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, naturally. But more the point. I think more the point here is the fact that the subject's up, and it is going to be big in this coming round of elections. The cost of living for people is just tremendously huge at this stage, and the big news is talking about it. So that's something at least. Yeah, a decent bag of beans for $40.
Yeah, and you probably get onions for half that price.
Well, yeah, well, supposedly I saw a Ricardo meme out there somewhere at one stage. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you look at the price of what's happening in the markets today, it's not, they say inflation rates are so much, but the actual living costs is significantly more. And I don't know how we fight that. I mean, I don't know how we can get the government to do anything about it unless we can find a way to get some of our independence in there so that we have enough power to do something about it. Right now, not voting in an election, I don't see that as a way that is going to help us. We're not going to get 3/4 of the country to just not vote. So they'll just take the ones that don't care, throw it out the door, right? All of us who are object to our corporate government doing whatever and we don't want to vote, we're not helping ourselves, we're hurting ourselves.
As it turns out, I've discovered in the last couple of days that some people close to me in various different states are going to stand up in this election. And they are very definitely people of our persuasion.
Yeah.
Now, they're going to stand up for a party, though, which I've got to admit did surprise me to begin with. But I understand what they're doing and why they feel this way. And I trust these people. So they would be very good to be in roles of oversight and keeping the bastards honest, so to speak. So that made me question today whether or not I would vote for one of them. As it turns out, one of them will be potentially I'll be registered to vote, if I do, in an electorate that they live in. So I would have the opportunity, if I so chose, to support them in that manner.
Mm.
So it's opened up an interesting conundrum to me. The party they've decided to join and promote is iHeart.
Yep.
So for people who are not aware of what iHeart is a reiteration of iMop, which has been in our political landscape now for probably close to the last 10 years, maybe more. And it is run by a wonderful man named Michael O'Neill, who has an even more equally wonderful wife named Barbara O'Neill. You might be familiar with them. They are the names behind iHeart, and a lot of very, very good people who believe in many of the things that you and I believe in, and I don't think we are raving lunatics for believing in some of the other things that we all might believe in, but they're prepared to give us a chance. These are good people. So I have an internal conundrum that I'll need to deal with between now and whenever they close the polling, not the polling stations, the electoral roll, as to whether or not I will poke my head up, so to speak, and avoid the fine this year.
It's an interesting conundrum because we do know, and through statements and stuff that we've seen through the papers that have come out, the proof of the referendums failed to be held, the seals, etc. We know that it's a corporate government, right? But the unfortunate part being that corporate government has the power. And for us, when we duck out, the only way I'm looking at this is that if we duck out of it and we can't find a way to put somebody in that's going to assist us, then we're giving them the Christmas package. Here you go, do whatever you bloody well want. It's until we get people to go in and resist. And I know why they're forming parties, because the party option allows them to advertise better. It allows them to give them an icon to aim at, right? And IMAT, LDP, Gerard Rennick, they're forming a bit of a coalition as well. So these guys are moving forward in that respect, and there is starting to become some sort of resistance. But how far we trust that resistance is another question.
Would you trust it without having some other good people that you do trust implicitly in oversight and working with them? And how do we get those people elected?
Yeah, well, only if enough people do it. And it means that the freedom fighters need to get out there and say, yeah, we know you're a corporate government, right? We're going to try and put in our own little bits of resistance inside the corporate government. I mean, in every intelligence operation, do they always fight it from the outside? Do the coppers take down the big drug cartels from the outside? No, they don't. They put in underground people into the organisation to gather the evidence. Right?
I'd be very careful. I'd be very careful about what you're saying.
Oh, I don't give a shit what I'm saying. I'm prepared to speak my mind. If they want to do something about it, too bad.
No, all right. Just caution you. That's all.
Okay. I don't know what I said wrong, but okay.
I can't say that you've said anything wrong, but under their structure, what you've said potentially could be construed into something that it isn't, and it's a very serious thing. It could be construed into. I don't.
Yeah.
think
No. Yeah. Okay. I see where you're going with that. I'm not recommending any sort of treasonous or action on that respect. What I'm saying,
the word you're looking for is seditious.
That one. Thank you. Yeah. No seditious action on that. What I'm saying is that we need to put people in there who can say, whoa, we don't agree with that bill.
Keep the bastards honest, like Don Chip and the old Democrats used to be. Keep the bastards honest.
So,
and I saw Malcolm Roberts today essentially begging the same thing. He was explaining the numbers and how preferences work and how One Nation currently have... I don't know. I wasn't listening. However, he went on to explain that they are apparently a very short number of votes from gaining another senator either in Western Australia, South Australia, potentially Victoria, I think, as well, and somewhere else. I think there's 5. Tassie it might be. Tassie and Western Australia are the 2 long shots. But Western Australia, South Australia, New South Wales, I believe, and I want to say somewhere else, but I can't remember where. They reckon if they got 1 senator in each of those, they would hold the balance of power in the Senate, and that would give them oversight, which they're 100% right. They would be able to keep the bastards honest.
Yep.
The problem we have is, do we trust the bastards keeping the bastards honest?
That's another issue that you may have to look at fighting. But they're right. I mean, the Senate in the federal election, the way the Senate voting works in a federal election is much more to our advantage to use than of the lower house. Because in the Senate, if you're voting above the line, you have the ability to stop your vote above the line before it gets down to the big parties. Right? Now, if a lot of people did that, those big parties would never even get a vote. So when the averages work out, right, and they start looking at the end, if 100,000 people didn't vote for the big parties, then that's going to mean that the other parties in the front are going to get better votes. And if you really don't want to support the federal government, then don't vote for them in the Senate, period. I didn't. Right? Lower house, unfortunately, moving the country is going to eat a lot of peaches. What? Oh, eat a lot of peaches.
The country gonna eat a lot of peaches.
Okay,
remember the song?
I don't know that song. No, I don't know that song.
That's the old Radio Brain. Seb, I love yours, man. That's beautiful. Moving to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. I'm gonna be singing that all night.
You took him off thoughts there, Sabinator.
You did.
But yeah,
singing it all night.
Lower house, however, the voting on that is always wrong because no matter who you vote for, 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? If those parties get knocked out, you're still agreeing to vote for a lower house member, whether you like it or not. And that sucks, right? So
that's where this coming together of Trevor the Prepper's ringing me. You know,
good on you, Trev.
Yeah, good on you, Trev. I put him on the phone to say, hey, you want to yell loudly into the microphone for me, mate? Anyway, God love him. We've been trying to catch up for a week and a half and haven't had the opportunity yet. He's a busy man as well. And I do not expect people to watch my show, much less watch it while we're doing it. So please don't. Yeah. I'm just being a smart ass. So don't take any offense to that. Sorry, keep going, Vincenzo.
Well, I don't know. I think we just need to get behind who we see as the best freedom parties and put as much. I mean, if with 1.4 million votes that didn't go in last time, could have made a significant difference to the shape of the government. Right. And if we can get some oversight in there, all the better.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking, you and I think, were talking about the Freedom of Information Bill that never got passed because it got blocked by the Libs and the independent senators. And then we've got the under 16 bill that did get passed that One Nation didn't vote in. But it wouldn't have mattered if they did or didn't anyway, because both Libs and Labors voted for it. The numbers just fully exceeded it. So we need to shrink down their capabilities in the Senate and put independent people in there. There's our oversight. We're not going to do much in the lower house. We can't do much down there. But a bill still has to get past the upper house. And if we've got really strong representation in the upper house of freedom parties like Gerard Rennick or iHeart or the Libertarians or independents like we've got no, he's running our house. But if we can put those people up there, stop it, Sabinator.
He's
Honestly,
doing more lyrics. Same song.
That, right? If we can stop it and put that filter in at the top, we can slow down their legislation grab.
Yes.
But only us, the people who are awake enough to be aware of that, have the power to do that. Right? So, and we know full well they're corporate government, right? But they still have their rules they have to follow. So,
yes, but I was speaking to people today, and this is our issue. We know they're a corporate government. We know that they are a foreign-owned entity. But I was speaking to some people today who have claimed to be awake for God knows how many years. No, yes, we're this and we're that and we're the other. And today, only for the first time, did they actually come good and say, "Oh, well, I really don't know that, and I don't really understand that, and I don't." And you throw this at them, and this happened to be one of the things that I did put forward, and they stare at you incredulously and think you're a lunatic, and then hide back in their shell. And I explained to them before I told them what I was going to tell them that that is what they were going to do. That what I was about to tell them would seem so stupidly ridiculous that you would find it hard to dismiss me as a lunatic and not hide it in front of me. Yeah. And I said, you're going to do that. But trust me, if you think about it, and I threw a couple of other logic things in afterwards that made them think about it, then you will come to a bit of an understanding of what we're fighting. But that's what we have to do. These people, you know how we've been waking people up for 4 years and we've been telling people for the last 3, well, so, you know, if you're not going to wake up by now, you never will. These people are now coming to us and saying, well, teach me, you know?
Yeah, well, part of
I don't understand. Teach me. I don't have time to go back and tell you everything I've told you in however many shows I've done here. And when you say, listen, go and watch my show, it sounds a little like blow air up my own ass. I don't want you to watch me. I want you to try and listen and comprehend the information that's being delivered. And some of these people, it humiliates them because when they do start seeing through the cracks and they start understanding little bits of truth, those little bits of truth cut deeply because they cut into strong-held, brainwashed beliefs that you've had all your life, beliefs that your parents have had all their lives, their grandparents all theirs, your great-grandparents and those before them, all their lives. Because everything we know is a lie. Everything. And some of us say that with great ease. Oh, you know, it's all the movie and everything's a lie. Yeah. But to really comprehend that is frightening to many people. Okay. I see it as quite challenging and very exciting. But to many people, it's frightening. And when we point it out in such easy terms, like we've done to many others, and you see the penny fall, then you have to deal with their humiliation, because all of a sudden the penny's fallen, They know what they've said about you or about people like you, to their friends, to other people. They know the friends they've excised from their lives because they refuse to go and be jabbed or whatever. And all of that starts flooding back in. And that adds a lot of guilt to their humiliation. And so what we don't want them to do is retract into their shell because they're humiliated and ashamed of what they've done. What we need them to do is come out of that shell and embrace us. Yeah. Because in return, we will embrace them and they will get a fire hose worth of knowledge shoved down their throat as fast as they can possibly drink it. And in some cases, it may blow some people's heads clean off. Welcome to the war.
True. But I mean, if we're going to push something at all this time round, right? As far as this is just my own personal opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, and the only reason I'm bringing the discussion of politics up is sometime in the next week, we're probably going to get it called, right? The federal election will be called. But lower house, not a great deal we can do about. The upper house we can, because as I said, you can vote as far down the line, either above the line or below the line, right, for the people you want, and then you can drop your vote at that point. Once you've gone past the 6 or 12 that's required, right, you can drop your vote, which means that the other parties don't get extra votes, even if it's only a small, minute amount. But if we can get enough, concentrate and get enough people to come in and come in hard for those people who are standing up for Australia. Now, they don't all agree on everything, but in general, they're much more on our side than they are on the other side. So if we can get a big movement happening and get people like Gerard Rennick back in, get One Nation back in, get some iHeart in there, get some libertarians in there. If we can get that, they can form their own little coalition and they can be our barrier at the top level of legislation, right? And they can be the ones that we can talk to and say, no, look, we don't agree with that piece of legislation. We, the people, don't agree with that. Now, under your corporate contract with us, right, you need to do what we're saying.
Yeah.
But that's only helpful if we, the people, put them in there in the first place. If we're just going to be ignorant and not put them in, right? Because we know that they're not supposed, we have that issue that they're not our true government. It doesn't matter. They're not our true government. They're the guys that are currently running the country. We need to deal with them. When we find a way to get our true government back, we will do that. But certainly us not putting a vote in is not helping the situation. All we're doing is giving them extra revenue. So that's where I stand on that.
So we aren't the first civilization in history to be at a point where we can't vote our way into or out of the problem. That's what you're essentially saying.
Yeah, well,
I beg your pardon. We're not the first civilization in history. We're not the first civilization in history who's unable to vote its way in or out of this situation. But what is the next step?
Yeah, sorry, I've got things going off here that shouldn't be going off.
Woo! Somebody's going to steal your solar.
Yeah, well, Rachel, what do you mean? But we don't put them in, Vince. What do you mean by that, Rachel? I'm curious what you mean. So just if you want to put that in, let me know what that means. But we can't vote our way out, but we can certainly vote our way into delaying. Right? There's never going to be enough people in this generation awake enough to stop the two major parties from playing their part. But we can vote our way into putting in a decent filter system at the top of it. That's the way I see it. Sounds like there's a number of real advantages on how the vote card's made and distributed. How to vote, we need to educate our people on how to vote. You don't follow the card. You do what your brain tells you to do, right? You get to choose where the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goes, not the card. That's just a suggestion.
We are reaping the benefits of our laziness at the vote box.
Yeah, well, that's why they put it there.
Yeah, exactly. We go, I don't know how many times people say, I love going on election day. You get to meet so many people in the line and you have a sausage, and it's a day out to them, or half a day out, or a few hours, usually 3 hours standing in a friggin' line. And, you get a sausage and, it's a lovely day out.
Yeah.
Well, that's as far as they think about it.
That's right. Rachel just came back with, we vote the way we want, and the numbers still don't add up. Plus, there was a time we woke up to a PM without going to the polls. Please understand that a Prime Minister is voted by a party and has nothing to do with us. We never vote in a Prime Minister. We only vote in people who are going to be ministers, or well, not even ministers. We're only voting in members in the Parliament.
Representatives.
Representative members.
And if the most on that side, actually, if you get more representative votes on one side of politics than the other, then from their ranks, they elect a leader. We don't. That's how. Do you seriously think the people of Australia would have elected Anthony Albanese the leader of anything other than the toilet cleaning crew?
Mate, you're giving him a bit too much of an advantage there. The toilet cleaning crew? Come on.
I was trying to
Can't
do
we find a better suited position?
I'm glad you actually understood what I was saying, because somewhere in the middle of me saying that, my brain went into trying to say it like Kenny would. So, with a little bit of sort of, slop in the cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Gracie, what are you saying here about remove the card?
Well, I mean, they're going to give us who they think, and everybody thinks that the cards determine the preferences that go down through the party, right? That's not true, right? They don't just go by the card. If your ballot paper says something different to the card, then your ballot paper follows that, especially in the lower house. In the upper house, there's a whole way they do representatives, and as it moves down and people get eliminated, the votes get shared to the next one, but the votes don't get shared as a full vote. Please understand this. The first person that gets taken out, the next lot of votes for that, they go through those votes, and let's say you've only got 2 other candidates left. That second candidate might have 100,000 votes from the first candidate, and the third candidate may have 50,000 votes. What they have is a complicated little equation that says, okay, effectively, we're going to give those 100,000 votes to the next person, but only at 50% leverage of the vote. So it's really only 50,000 votes. I'm just using numbers here to give you an idea. There's actually a specified formula. And the other person, instead of getting 50,000 votes, really only gets 25,000 votes. Then if they move them down to a third person, then they're only getting 1/3 of that leverage, or 1/8 of the leverage, or whatever the formula is. So really, your first vote has the most power. As it goes down the line in the Senate seats, that vote deteriorates in power all the way down. Okay, if people wanted to understand that.
Yep.
Did that actually make sense, Carl?
Well, it did to me, but I don't understand how a preference system works anyway, so I take your word for it.
You've got to take
an interest in the voting system to understand how it works, and I haven't in many years, I'm afraid. Yeah. So, but I do appreciate the effort that you put into it, and should anybody want to try and correct Vince, please do, but it sounds perfectly right to me, and it's in line with my understanding of it.
I've got a full spreadsheet on how to do it. When I ran in the federal election, I actually looked all this stuff up and found out
how far away,
whatever.
How far are we from blockchain referendums, or being able to have an Australia app that has a blockchain, well, not referendum, but a Q&A, or something that we could present as a government, let's say, we could present to the people, right, Ukraine wants us to send $455 million to them, and they want us to send all our old Abrams M1A1 tanks there. What do we all think about that? Now, 26, let's call it 15 million Australians. Anybody with a phone has a right to vote. Anybody with a phone who is registered to vote and blockchain vote can instantly reply, and within hours we will have, you would leave that question open for 24 hours. And at the end of 24 hours, the next night in the show, you would say, all right, well, here's what we did last night. Here was the question, and here's what you, the audience, said. Now, this happens all the time in radio and TV. It can happen on a national basis, on a government level. And all it requires is an appointment setting program. Let's call it 7 o'clock every night on channel whatever, that it's done live. Like there's some person sitting there like this saying, all right, well, tonight's question is, and, here is the why, fors, and wheres of why we're asking this question. You would want that program to run no longer than half an hour, and you would be offering people the choice to vote as soon as it starts, halfway through it, in the middle of it, whenever they want. They would have 24 hours from the time it first went to air, or the information was first imparted, or whatever, to make that decision. And it would be incumbent upon the government or whoever is doing this to promote that question widely using all available media. And it's a very easy thing to do. Here is the question. What do you think? Yes or no? Get on your Aussie app and vote. Yeah. Yes or no? Right?
I think that's something we really need. Just before we get back to that, though, how can it be dissolved? One vote is equal to one vote. Yeah, no, it's not, mate. Not in the way they do the counting.
No.
That's why I say your first vote is the most preferential. So just a heads up. That's for the Senate seat. It's different for the lower house. But getting back to blockchain, the beauty about having the blockchain is that it's supposed to be an irreversible ledger. Right, your biggest challenge about doing a blockchain is how do you identify that the people voting are valid? I know, let's do a digital ID. Oops. See where we're heading with that? While we can get the power to do a blockchain vote, we could be digging ourselves into the very hole, one of the things we're fighting against.
Yeah.
So there has to be a way to determine, yes, this is a valid person who is voting in this referendum. I reckon it's a great idea. I think we should have it more often.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, before we get too excited about that idea of what I was talking about with the blockchain app, the reason that voting has never been allowed to be done through phones and that kind of thing is because the major political parties, and probably most of the minor ones as well, set up what we call phone rooms, where they will put 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 mobile phones, and they'll have a whole bunch of students sitting in there working feverishly to reply to any comment, any vote, anything to sway those polls that we hear so much about in political times. Now, they were discovered doing that years and years and years ago. So, Vince, I don't know how many mobile phones you have, but I've got at least 2. Let's put it that way. There you go. So, what would stop me and you from having 2 votes, or what would stop? There you go, 3. So, in the House, what would stop? People having multiple votes off multiple phones. Well, blockchain, I could be wrong, and blockchain and the new phones coming into our lives, the new systems coming into our lives. Phones are individualized to you. It's almost like a fingerprint when you get a phone these days. Have you gone and got a new phone lately? And the IMEI number of that phone is its fingerprint. Okay, yeah, so if you are registered and your IMEI number is registered to the blockchain, and you are, Vincent Panel, who has a phone, this phone, the only phone that is registered to speak on my behalf on the Aussie app. How many authorities do we have to go through every day to Google to log into our own friggin' email?
Yeah.
So how easy could this be with
Well, I
blockchain.
just showed you 3 phones there. And yes,
Yep.
you can validate one of those. The reason why I've got 3 is one's an iPhone, one's an older version, Android, and one's a later version, is
Hey,
because
listen,
of
Carl.
developing
Carl's
an
figured
app.
you out.
Oh, yeah, what? Because I'm a drug dealer. Good one, mate. Good, Carl. Yep. But no, it's because I'm developing the Unity Hub app. I needed to go across multiple phones for the app. So I happened to have 3 because of that reason. But the IMEI number that goes with the phone is only valid to the phone once you register a SIM to go in that card.
Right.
Right? Doesn't stop me from taking in say, particular this one, right, that has no SIM in it, but it still has access to the internet, could still access the blockchain, could still run the app.
Right.
All right, because it's got Wi-Fi.
Is it secure though? What would stop a nefarious group, say, I don't know, the Labor Party, from getting 50,000 phones together and putting them in the hands of 50,000 new Indians to the country, and saying, look, every time you vote, because you're a new Australian, congratulations, here's your citizenship. Shake Tony Burke's hand on the way out of the front door, and here's your new phone. Now, you keep that phone that you've got because that's your voting phone, right? But you keep this phone, and when the vote comes up, you just vote on this one as well. It's perfectly legal. It's all good.
Yeah, so that's the challenge with it. How do you identify that person is the actual owner of the phone? The phone hasn't been lost or stolen, for instance, right?
Well,
and what's to stop them from setting up?
Stop me if I'm wrong. Stop me if I'm wrong. They can facially identify all of us walking down the street under a fart cloud, through a hat, through an ATM camera these days. So why wouldn't the phone we're holding in our hand be able to identify through AI facial recognition software that the black dot on my right eye, the brown dot on my left eye, and the little bit of snot hanging out of my left nostril is definitely Carl?
Well, you've seen how good prosthetics are these days. Just look at all the movies. Look at all the.
So they get one vote, though. So the guy in the prosthetic gets one vote. He gets to say opposite to what everybody else is saying. How many prosthetics have you got to make to sway this vote? This is how I'm trying to break.
How many people?
I'm trying to break the idea of blockchain voting. People are seeing how I think at the moment out loud in real time. I apologize. I'm trying to figure out how to break blockchain voting. Right? Prove to me it can't work. How do we break it? Because I want it to work.
Well, theoretically, once it's set up and running and everybody is fully identified and that phone or app is attached to them by some sort of ID, it doesn't get broken. Then your next problem is we have this beautiful referendum system. How the hell do we get everybody to vote on it?
I'm sorry, yes. Well, it should be an easy yes or
nostril. Geez, the crew is firing tonight. They are into it.
Yeah. Now, Berg's got the right idea here. Come on, guys. One registered voter, one registered phone. Yes, that would be the way that I would take that as well. But the parties have been able to subvert that process before. And that's, I think, because they've got the telcos involved. They can do whatever they like. So this app would have to be at a people government level, almost something that, all the biggest cyber boffins in Australia protect as vehemently as the attacks we get from outside the country. The integrity of this app would need to be protected at its highest level. So one registered voter, one registered phone. I like that. Shit, I lost my phone.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. You can re-register using a specified ID. And
Nana died. I got her phone. Do we tell the government Nana died?
Well, the government should know. They have a thing called birth, deaths, and marriages.
They do. But does anybody look at it or cross-reference it all off? How many dead voters are voting in Australia and Australian elections every year?
Don't know. The other thing that you need to be aware of is that the blockchain cannot be held by the government. It needs to be decentralized, held by multiple other computers around the world. It's the only way that you can make the actual ledger irreputable. right? Because if it's held by the government, they can just change it at will. What's that one? Blockchain voting is only
With a solid constitution.
solid constitution. Agreed.
That chat's probably for another night, and we can bring a guest in on that one.
Yeah, we've got a constitutional.
I think you're probably right there too, Carl. Though I think you're probably right.
Well, speaking of that constitutional expert, Tim Dwyer has put out a call on his channel trying to raise $2 million to get trucks fueled and the drivers fueled as well, giving them something to eat, to get a whole heap of hay over here to South Australia that is desperately needed. Now, there's a Lions Club group that are doing that. So I suggest that you guys look at Tim's Truth on Rumble, right? Find out about that. It's to help the farmers because the South Australian government, which has $16 million sitting in the coffers, are doing a hole. Just because we didn't have a beep thing, so I tried not to swear. But yeah, just to let you know that. So sorry, that was getting back to where we were.
Just before you do, Rachel seems to be terribly obsessed with snot. Now, I know Rachel deals with a lot of dogs, but there's a difference between snot and slobber. And while I would agree she is probably a slobber expert, I'm just wondering why she's taking such an insignificant interest in snot. Rachel?
Well, that's all your fault. You raised it.
Yeah, no, there's more than one in there too. Yes. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Daniel, that was somewhere I was going to be leading this conversation. Blockchain was created for government secret services.
Yep.
So they're already 20 years down the blockchain hole, and they're going to open the hole up to the public now. It's a bit like military secrets and going to the moon.
Okay, for Daniel Weir's thing, I can create a blockchain. And I have. In fact, we were mucking around with it at one stage, me and a couple of friends. Right? So creating a blockchain is not a problem. Getting it out there in the world, getting it across multiple computers, that's where the diversity comes. So effectively, blockchains can be done. And encryption can be done. You know, I mean, I'm busily trying to do somebody's encryption at the moment, and my computer that's doing 1,800 passwords per second still says it's going to take unlimited time to crack a 9-digit password.
I'm not sure if that 25 years refers to what you're saying, to speak backwards, but I could be right.
Yeah, probably
I'm just reading through some of the...
All
right, desperate for stock feed in South Australia by the sound of it in a very, very big way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about with Tim Dwyer and the Lions Club that have opened up their books to try and get those people. $2 million, right, is what is needed to get that going, to get those trucks that are in, I think they're in Victoria. Over here.
I think they're in Victoria and New South Wales. The guy that normally does it has a network of truckers that do it.
Yeah.
And they'll go anywhere at any time. They came to Queensland a few years ago and went out west out here and saved farms, quite literally, turning up with hay for the stock. And it's heartbreaking for farmers to shoot stock because they can't afford to feed them and there's no market to sell them. It's one of the most debilitating things that anybody who lives on the land can ever have happen to them, to have to walk through a herd of 500 or 1,000 animals and knowing full well that you have 500 or 1,000 rounds of ammunition that you won't have by the time you finish your walk. And then you have to dispose of those animals. This is why farmers are killing themselves on their farms and committing suicide. So, yes, we need to help as much as we possibly can. And if anybody needs contact details, Vince's link is just, did you throw it to me in the private chat?
Done.
Vince will post this link up. I'll copy it and put it into the chat now. But it's at Rumble under Tim's Truth, and it will be I would say, one of the more recent.
Yeah, second on the list.
Yeah, right. There you go.
It's
So
in the
check
chat
that
now.
out.
You should be able to highlight it and just post it.
And there is the link too for all the channels involved in the chat. So and we might even get Tim on next week for a bit of a chat. Speaking of next week, we're going to kick the week off possibly a little bit early because I've been mucking you around with shows this week. Now, I've been threatening to get Ramona back on to talk a little more common law. She is flat out during the week, so it's very difficult to get her in the evenings during the week. But I might be able to get her on Sunday night. So the theory is Sunday evening. Haven't really picked a time yet, but I would suggest it will be earlier rather than later. It might even be late Sunday afternoon. Don't feel you have to be joining in, but we will be talking all things common law. Fiduciary duty is something I'm very keen to make you people understand, or help you, not make you. I make nobody do anything. But I want to help you all understand what fiduciary duty is and who has it and who it is meant to benefit. And the short answer of the benefit thing is you. Right? Who has fiduciary duty? Any public servant. Do they actually understand what it means? Probably not. Do you? It's important. So we'll talk about that with Ramona Sunday night, along with a petition of right. So if you don't understand what that is, see you on Sunday. Watch out for the notification. Oh, and Monday, Bob's back.
Wonderful Bob, right?
Bob's been
for all of
crooked.
those, yeah, for all of
Bob's,
those that don't know Bob, go back and
Bob
look
has
up Bob.
Yeah, go back and look up some of the Bob stuff. So we'll talk all things UFOing, and we'll talk remote viewing and intelligence service. Bob is a former military person. He's led a very interesting life in various regards of a military not of Australian origin. And he was, along with others, sought out, found, and used for his abilities to be able to remote view certain things. He has flown over the coastline of Antarctica and flown over inland Antarctica. Can tell you an awful lot of stories about what he's seen there. So we look forward to having Bob back on Monday night. He has been unwell and is going into hospital to have some back surgery. So if you do have a prayers list, please add Bob to it. And if I'm honest, I'd like you to add Guru as well. Guru has a thing on his lip. It's a nasty thing. And he and I were meant to have a chat with SG Anon this week, and we spent a lot of time sitting there talking to each other, waiting for SG to pop into the thing so we could start the chat. And I would and have put him in my prayers as well. He's a pretty chipper bloke. He is getting some service this week, I was going to say, but it's probably the wrong word. He's getting some treatment this week, which could be extremely life-changing for him. So none of it invasive at this stage. And I wish him all the best with that treatment going forward, and all power to him. And I can't wait to go down and give him a hug. So keep him in your thoughts, folks. People often think, oh, you know, Carl and Guru, they're not friends. They're not this, they're not that. We don't live in each other's pockets. We don't have to. We've met each other. We've sized each other up. We've had our little biff. We've had our little bang. We've had our little push and our shove. And now we know where we stand. If you've ever been to a boarding school, you'll understand how that works. Everybody's got to fight for a place somewhere. Sometimes that place isn't necessarily where you want to wind up, but it is what it is. There has never been bad blood between Guru and I, at least not from my perspective, and I don't believe from his. But if there was, there isn't any longer. We are brothers in this fight, we are brothers with you and Vince. We are all in this together, and we cannot afford to lose one of our number.
Yeah. Now, we may not always agree with each other's perspective. I mean, just look at me and Carl. We don't always agree, do we, mate?
Yeah.
Right. I tell him something and he just ignores me. So that's how that one works.
Yeah.
See, proof right there. See that? He ignored it.
Rachel, we will ask Bob about the pyramids. In fact, I might send him a text and see if he can have a look. I don't know if that's the right thing you say to somebody who can remote view, but I'll give it a go. Alan, 100% on the money there, brother. And Guru is surrounded by good people, good friends, and of course Mel, who's with him all the time. So I just think it's important. People are always saying, we've got to come together. We've got to come together. Well, show it. All right?
Yeah.
Stop being divisive. Stop creating problems where there are none, because Guru and I have sat back for the last 2 years and laughed our asses off at the people who've tried to talk about the division between us. Just because you don't see us talking on here does not mean we don't talk. That's
so many. I'm going to say this. So many people out there will get stuck on something that they personally believe in that is a small fry thing that causes division. It's because they let their egos and stuff get in the way. People, you've got to look at it this way. Are you going to blow yourself out of a movement or a community because a little thing doesn't quite go the way you morally expect it to do? Or are you going to look at the big picture, which is saving this country for our children in the future? Right? Which one are you going to look at? And are you going to let the little thing blow away the big thing? If that's the case, that's why division occurs.
And we also need to start. We also need to start doing something about the supermarkets, as you said before. Denise here has some bloody great suggestions, well, not suggestions as such, but farmers need a new strategy too. Growing herbs, spices, garlic, and God, Pete from Pinaroo, the garlic that Pete from Pinaroo grows is absolutely magnificent. We lived with it for a week and a half in the car, and it was like it was like reaching over for a lolly. You just wanted to put it in your mouth. I think it got slowly roasted in the car over 2 weeks, but I mean, it wasn't good.
It was our healthiest 2 weeks ever.
Absolutely. So dairies. Now, this is where Billboard Battalion come into it. So Wade and the crew from there are trying to wake people up from the dairy perspective. We are losing our dairy cattle land. We are losing our dairy cattle. We are losing our dairy cattle farmers. Where are we going to get the milk from? Do you want to go and drink Indonesian milk?
And that's only if there's not a shipping barrage or something blocking exports from coming into this country. What happens if that occurs?
Yeah.
Right? What happens if Indonesia and China go to war?
Yeah.
Where are we? Yeah. We're below those. How do we get anything through that barrage or that blockage they're going to put up? Right? Oh, there's an Australian ship sailing through the middle. Oh, don't worry about it, just blow them out of the water. You know, they're not going to care. So if we're getting all of our food and our stuff from overseas through import, what happens when we can't get those imports in anymore? Right? God willing, it will never happen. But I can guarantee you if it does, we haven't got the infrastructure or the farming or the whatever to keep us going at the moment. For starters, all the trucks will run out of diesel in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So could a housewife in the Freedom Movement reality show with some of the shit that has been put out there? No offense, ladies. Not.
I get the feeling that Ian, like you and I, may live alone, or at least with not a significant other. If he has a significant other.
If he didn't, he does now.
He does now. Oh, God. Rachel, you've provided so much love and laughter tonight. Thank you so much. This week has been, if I'm honest, quite taxing on me on a very personal level. And I needed this laugh tonight. So thank you. Thank you all.
Right. So on a brighter note of taxing money, etc., and so on, we are slowly working our way towards a new set of merch to be going up for the merch store. We have the merch store in play now. I'm in the middle of testing it. And we just got to get some new designs and bits and pieces up. So let that be known. And in all fairness, not that I've had a great chance, but I think I owe you about 3 kick up the butts, Carl.
3?
I think so. I don't remember seeing anything Wednesday night.
That's going to
that was JFK.
that's going to make the first day or so we're together very bloody painful. I better make sure there's not going to be 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Hi,
suggesting.
are you passionate about supporting independent media and social events? Voice of Freedom is dedicated to bringing you the latest happenings and things that matter. But we can't do it without your help. By donating, sponsoring, or becoming a member, you're not just supporting our mission. You're joining a community that values transparency and engagement. Your contributions allow us to continue producing high-quality content that informs and inspires. Visit VOFHQ.com to make a donation or explore sponsorship or membership opportunities. You can even donate using crypto. Together, we can amplify voices that deserve to be heard as we continue to create a vibrant platform for social change. Go to VOFHQ.com, help us to help you by joining us and making a difference today.
Okay.
It's a bloody robot, DM. It's a bloody robot. He didn't even use a real voice. I know.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
But that does show just how good AI is, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that also comes with the warning, if AI is that good, and there's a brilliant one of going out there, which is a totally satirical one with President Trump and Zelensky and how he stole the money. And I mean, it's so well done. You would think they were really doing it. The word match, movements of the mouth, everything. It was so bloody well done. So be careful what you view, people, right? Take things with a grain of salt. I mean, you get things where they're saying, oh, look, this has just been found and they've dug out this big thing and they've found this and whatever. And it's like, yeah, righto. I don't believe that. Yeah. Yeah, so Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. How do I answer this?
What's this? Okay, the stuff that I'm going to answer it for you. The stuff that's going on, he can't talk about public plea. All right, he can't do that, but be aware that it is fairly heavy on the soul, right? Because of the type of person he is and the way he cares, it's very heavy on the soul. But he can't talk about it publicly, but understand that he does carry that. And the fact that he comes on here and smiles all the time to you lot and makes it look easy, that's his 40 years of radio professionality coming into play. So all you can do is help him so that, right, if he's got a bit of extra money that he can use to spend to just buy that beer, then that's a help, right? Just that you guys know that you love him and that he's there is what is needed. That support is needed. So thank you, everybody who does care and look after him. How's that?
Thanks, mate. That's really
That's
nice
right.
of you, thank you.
I will steal your limelight anytime you want. No challenge at all, mate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't want to add anything to it other than to say yesterday I needed a hug pretty badly, and I wasn't getting one anywhere around here until I remembered that I did have a friend.
Yeah.
So I went down the back here and hugged a goat.
And having had goats, that doesn't always work out well sometimes.
No, but this one only walks around on 3 legs and thinks I'm always bringing it an apple. It's very happy to be as close to me as it can be.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So just quickly, guys, before we end up the show, have you guys got anything you want to ask? I mean, we are keeping a pretty close eye on the chat today, as you would have noticed.
Yeah.
Anybody? All right.
Always open for questions.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to expound off my wonderful amounts of superficial knowledge. So in other words, not
always
deep
good
knowledge.
to have that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep.
No sound problems tonight. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Which one are we actually connected to tonight? Let me have a look.
Don't know,
we're
but
on
it sounds
Telstra.
nice and clear.
Yeah, we're on Telstra at the moment, not Starlink. So
It actually sounded like an overdriving of the microphone, to be honest.
yes, and yet I've tested all of my microphone settings, and I'm not overdriving anything out of here. So something is happening in the processing through StreamYard that was making that level distortion. Oh, and I think what is happening for some of you, you might be starting to see these AI generated shorts that pop up. So at the end of this show, I get the option to get this AI generated. It'll generate, I think, 3 shorts that it automatically posts up to, I think it's the YouTube channels. I'm just sort of playing with it to a point where I hit the yes button. I don't think about it again. I will go and have a look at it in a month or so and just see if anybody's actually watching them or if it's of any benefit. But what I have noticed is the processing of those shorts does tend to blow the audio out. So I think it's something in their algorithm, in the StreamYard algorithm, and I've sent a note to them saying that it needs to be looked at because the audio isn't going in at a distorted level. It's coming out that way. So, yeah, working on that one.
No worries. Well, not many anybody's thrown up the couple of questions like where do you live and whatever. That doesn't matter at this stage.
Ian. How beautiful. 5 nights in Noosa cut short by the cyclone. Yeah, you wouldn't like a palm tree through your window. It's very unpleasant. Your 25th anniversary. Well, look, in the lead up to the cyclone, it was probably pretty shitty weather too. But Noosa's got some nice shops, some beautiful coffee shops, some really expensive coffee and beer and food. Well, okay, everything's expensive in Noosa. But if you've got enough money, you can go and enjoy it and stay dry if it's raining. So I hope it went all right. And I'm sure your first holiday alone together since he was born, the 21-year-old lad, won't be the last. So look forward to it. Maybe we should get a Voice of Freedom cruise happening, Vince.
Yeah,
you'd like to be stuck on a boat with us
you
for a
really
week.
reckon we can afford to do that? I know how much you get, and I know how much I get, and I can guarantee you with the current drop in crypto, I ain't got much to play with. So
I can tell you, mate, that if we go to them and say, hey, listen, we can book maybe 200, 300, 400 people on your boat, we'll be going for nothing.
Yeah, well, that would be true. But you know what I'm like. I have enough challenges getting in aeroplanes through the air sickness. You want to see me when I'm seasick? That's something else.
No, that's not probably something I'd enjoy seeing.
Yeah,
all right, boats are out, planes are out. So who's going on a train ride with us?
I'll be there.
Wave good night, waving wonder. Love you, mate. Thanks for everything. That's Vince off for the weekend, and I hope you are too, folks. Be safe if you're heading out there. Now, tomorrow, if you have got nothing to do and you happen to be in Brisbane tomorrow morning and you'd like to catch up with me, I'll tell you where I'll be. I'm going to be here at the Governor General's at 10 o'clock, or the Governor's, I beg your pardon, tomorrow in Queensland. No signs, no speeches, no noise. This is a silent stand, and if you don't understand quite why it's happening, I've posted some videos recently on my Facebook page the last few days. If you go back and have a look at those, they're from Karen Brewer, and she points out exactly why the governors of each state and the Governor General need to see us, we the people. So this is the first of what I hope will be many of these gatherings in Brisbane. You can see the other states' governors or government houses listed, their addresses there. It's 10 o'clock sharp every Saturday morning, as far as I'm aware, at the Governor General's. Tomorrow, I could be wrong, but I believe tomorrow is the first. So there's a carload of people I'm bringing up from here. Taylor's going to come, so you get the opportunity to meet her if she's going to be floating around. I did invite her to come on the show tonight, but she said, oh, no, I'm not beautiful enough. I need to put some makeup on it. Anyway, maybe tomorrow. And you might meet Dwayne. I'm going to bring the bushy up for a bit of a bush education too. And if you want to pop up and say hi, and great, we're going to stay there for an hour or whatever it turns out to be. We might go off somewhere and have a coffee or lunch afterwards for a bit of a catch up and a bit of a chat. So if you're up for that, we'd love to see you. Be at the Governor's Place tomorrow at 10 a.m. sharp. Gate B, 168 Fernberg Road in Paddington. If you know Brisbane, you know that's just sort of out of the city to the northwest-ish bit. So it's not hard to get to, and there will be a bit of off-street parking easily found. You might have to wander back to the gate, but it is a silent stand, so let's not create too much noise while we're chatting amongst ourselves. That's where the silent part probably plays in. Who knew? Anyway, God love you folks. Thank you for the support and the love, the phone calls from certain of you this week. You have, can we get an emoji hug designed? Man, that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your support. One day there'll be a book in this, and I can't wait to tell you. But as we go through the trial, the tribulation, I rise to the challenge. That's why we're here. It is a battle. We said it's a war. So low punches in fights, low acts in war. The enemy will do that to people that are hurting them. The fact that they chinked me this week just makes me stronger. I might take a step back and shake my head, but then I take 3 steps forward and I hold a lot of sharp things in front of me while I do it. You get the idea. God love you, folks. Thank you so much for your love and support. You have a good weekend. And if you get a dickhead on the road, take his number and give it to me. I've met some police recently. They're not bad people.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!
Just wanted to point this one out before I go. Has there ever been a more useless headline? The Notice are great at it, and I know they're playing for it. Hunt for skinny, knife-wielding African armed robber in Melbourne. How many skinny armed Africans do you think are going to be in Melbourne? Just saying.